bittersweet for me. I'm very, very excited to host this next panel, but at the same time, it does mean that we are on our last panel of the last day of the first Monaco ComicCon Prelude. So I rarely get this excited about a panel, but I'm really excited about our next guest. So I feel like he needs no introduction, and so without further ado, Scott Eastwood. So I like to start with easy questions typically, so they'll get harder as they go.
Okay.
But you've been to Monaco before, correct?
I have.
So what do you like or love about this town, city, country, and how is it being here this time?
Yeah, well, the French Riviera, the whole thing is pretty storybook-esque. I was lucky enough in 2016 to shoot a movie down here all about stealing classic cars in the French Riviera. So that was pretty fun. And so I spent a lot of time here and kind of feel what it's like to actually live here, which was pretty special.
That must have been. How long ago was that?
Almost 10 years ago.
Has it changed a lot since you were here last, or does it feel basically the same?
It feels like there's always another apartment building being constructed here, or some, like they're building stuff out into the water now, which is pretty interesting.
You have one of the unique distinctions of sort of growing up, not just in the industry. A lot of actors have, producers, directors, but you have, a very iconic family. So just wanted, from your perspective, what was it like doing that? And then also, do you feel like you would have been an actor if you would have not grown up in the industry?
No, probably not. My dad is someone who's inspired me my entire life. Telling stories, getting to do this life and travel around the world and do it is, I get to do what I love every day, and I thank him for exposing me to that when I was a kid and saying, hey, this is something you can do. This is we're creating art, we tell stories that either move people or make people laugh or whatever. And so yeah, I don't think I would be doing it if it wasn't for him.
When you are looking at projects, like what do you look for? What makes it exciting? Is it, a unique story? Is it a good character? Or, what is it that, are you drawn to certain types of films more than others?
Yeah, I mean, when I read a script, it's all about, do I want to see that movie? I typically don't like movies that are dreary or that are depressing. I like movies that are fun, or they're based on a true story, or they make you feel, they usually leave you with a happy ending. But yeah, if it's a movie I want to see, then I typically want to make it, and then, then I got to start asking myself, well, is that a character I want to play, or am I even right for that role? But yeah, it's usually story first.
Have you ever gotten offered a role that was awesome, but you're like, I'm not right for it, and then did you still want to play it?
Yeah, I get offered roles a lot I don't think I'm quite right for. A lot of times too, I'll get offered roles that maybe I really need another 10 years before I could play that role. And
based upon your looks, or just?
Yeah, looks, where I am in life, the gravity I have, versus not. A lot of times you'll get a character who's got a family and kids, and maybe in 10 years that'll be a different story, or I'll feel more ready to play a character like that. But yeah, it's always different.
Why do you think you get offered those roles that you're probably not quite in that pocket for?
That's a good question. I don't know. think I'm older than I am.
I don't think you look it. You do have your voice is very deep in that,
Well, that's because I'm losing my voice, because I'm on a film right now in Eastern Europe, and I've been screaming all week because it's a war movie, so I don't have a voice.
Is there anything more that you can tell us about the film you're working on currently?
Yeah, it's based on a true story. It's called Lani Strike. It takes place in World War II. It's really a one-man survival story behind enemy lines. It's written by Mark Friedman and Rod Laurie, who I did a movie with back in 2018. Who I think are great filmmakers, and so I'm excited to be doing it with them again.
Is there a role you've ever turned down that you wish that you hadn't, or a role that like maybe you just couldn't do because the timing didn't work out?
I had Guy Ritchie call about a role that he wanted me to play if Jake Gyllenhaal had passed, if he was going to pass, and they were trying to work out dates. And of course, Jake Gyllenhaal didn't pass and went and played the role. But that was, there's just certain directors, you get a call, and it doesn't matter really what they ask, you'll go and do it. And so those are slightly disappointing moments, but you try not to think about too much of that. That's stuff you can't really control.
I heard you mention that you're a producer on this current film. Have you ever directed, or do you have any desire to direct?
Yeah, I think that I've been doing it long enough that I want to do it my own way now. So I'm trying to find the right material to do that.
What do you like about being an actor, and what do you feel like you would like about sort of directing, and what do you like about producing that's sort of different?
Well, they have their own unique challenges. Sometimes it's great. You just gotta, if you're just an actor, you gotta show up, know your material, do your thing, and leave and go home. If you're producing something, there's a lot more questions that have to be answered, a lot more decisions that have to be made. But it's also can be a lot more gratifying at the end.
So what do you look for in a project, and if some projects came across your desk, what would you be excited to see? Like something like a romantic comedy, or maybe something that people would be surprised that you would want to do?
I love a good rom-com. I hope that the business starts making more and really wants to make more. I think there is a demand for it.
There totally is.
There is, and I just think that, Hollywood's like a heat-seeking missile. When something works, the industry flocks to it and says, well, now Westerns work, and then,
let's make
$5
million.
Yellowstone or something, and then, once one doesn't work, then they say, oh, they don't work anymore. Good movies work, so a good rom-com, or a well-written rom-com, and a well-casted, well-directed, anything I think works. But I do think there is a demand for that type of movie. We just don't see that many anymore. So I look forward to seeing those come back around, whether I'm in them or not. I always enjoyed them. They were fun.
What are some of your favorites? Like maybe top 3?
Mostly all of the McConaughey movies of the late 90s and early 2000s.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, I like Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
Okay.
I really like that one.
We literally had a conversation yesterday in the green room, and one of the other guys said failure to launch, and we were arguing. I thought 10 things I hate about you. Or sorry.
That's good. I think better than both of those though is Fool's Gold with him and I'm gonna forget her name. She's a lovely actress, blonde gal. They shut it down in the
Oh,
Caribbean.
is it Helen? Or was it Helen Hunt?
No, Hunt. I'll think of this
I knew you
after
were
this interview.
What do you feel like is maybe your favorite role so far that you've played?
You know, people ask that, and I always sort of give the same answer. I don't know about my favorite role. I've had fun playing a lot of different roles, and really the best time I'm having is if I'm having a good time making the movie wherever I am with the people. You know, movies can turn out good or they can turn out bad, but the good times while doing it is what's important. So there's been a few movies, not a lot, but a few that I haven't had a fun time on. But most of the time I'm having a good time. So.
Because we're at a Comic-Con, a couple of things I like to ask is, so Comic-Cons are sort of about, you know, your passion in pop culture, you know, movies, television. Is there anything that you're super into, obsessed with, whether it's something that's new or maybe something that's been out for a while but you just started watching it?
Well, I was actually talking about this movie the other day, and I think it's fitting. I think it fits kind of in this Comic-Con world because it was an illustrated comic, or it was an illustrated series for a while, or at least it was an amalgamation of things. And I want to see it remade. Is Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And I think that movie was so beyond its time. And I want to see at least a second one.
I read somewhere that someone, director, producer, said that they'll never do it because of Jessica Rabbit, because of how she was drawn or something. I wish I could remember more of the story, but it's definitely come up. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make that happen.
Yeah, I don't know if I can, but.
So, if you had a superpower, could have any superpower, what would it be?
Fly.
Why?
Well, I like to fly airplanes, and I like to be up in the clouds. It's quite peaceful up there.
Can you actually fly? Do you have a pilot's license?
I do.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just think that would be, skip the old lines at the airport and just.
That sounds very helpful. A couple of the guests here, they're from a TV show called a series of movies called The Descendants. And the storyline is they are kind of like storybook characters. Like one kid's the son of Prince Charming and Cinderella, and another kid's like Beauty and the Beast. So I thought it was sort of fun because I asked them about that, and then the rest of the day yesterday I asked everyone if they could be the child of two storybook characters.
Okay.
So, what two storybook characters? And most people put the obvious together, but no rules here.
Well, what if I want to come back as a dog in another life, and maybe, I don't know.
Lady and the Tramp?
I was thinking that, or all dogs go to heaven.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not sure if they had a family, but it seems fitting.
It does. I'll accept that answer.
Okay. My dog's got it good.
I believe you on that one.
Yeah.
So obviously, besides making film, would you ever work in television, or do you strictly like the film medium?
No, I work in television. I think the thing about long form is you better really love it, because what I love about going and doing a project is that I get to meet all new people. I get to be really passionate about something for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then I get to go away, and then it gets to restart, and then I get to get inspired to do something else. So if you really love it, then then it's a different thing, but you got to really love it.
Do you think that the industry and sort of all the kind of situations, how do you see it kind of shaking out in the next 5 years?
Well, it seems like the pendulum always swings one way and then really hard back the other way. I think we saw a big swing in one direction in the last 5 or so, or 6 or 7 years, and now it feels like things are swinging back the other way. So, I mean, good, bad, or ugly, that's typically what happens. And I don't know, maybe we're somewhere between that swing. I can't really tell you what is going to happen. It's tough. You know, they call it film business for a reason. It's sometimes you're making art, and sometimes you're doing things, and it's commerce, and sometimes they intersect. And sometimes when they intersect, that's like a very it's a rare moment, and it's typically like what I chase. If you can make something that means something, and you're also making something that, could be seen by the rest of the world.
Do you think it's more fun to play funny characters or villains or?
Comedies are really fun, just because everyone's having a good time. I got to work with Charlie Day during the pandemic. What was that? I think it was in 2020, actually. And he's such a gem. This guy is incredible. And getting to do that was a great experience. And I said, oh, I like this, and I'd like to, work this muscle more. The problem is finding good material. As I do this movie for Amazon with Charlie Day, and then I get 5 or 6 rom-com scripts sent to me. None of them are good, and so everyone it's like, oh well, you could do the rom-com thing. Okay, well then we got to find a good one because I don't want to go do a shitty one either. So,
what do you think makes a good rom-com?
Heart. It's got to have heart at the center of it. It can't be vapid and shallow. You can have jokes and all that, and you gotta have good characters, but it's gotta have a real through line. It's gotta have like a real drama through it to be a really good story. I think that's
If you could go back and play any of the, pick any rom-com and actually get to play one of those characters, is there one that you'd be like, I would have loved to have done that one? Doesn't matter if you were old enough at the time or anything, just.
I love the Mel Gibson movie, What Women Want. I thought that was a great character. He gets to play. It's a sort of wild character that's going through an existential crisis through the whole movie. That looked like a fun character to play.
If you couldn't work in the film industry, and just it disappeared, and then the entertainment business, do you know what you would do? Is there anything that?
Probably, I don't know, go teach people how to fly or something. Just something that would just be, to have to talk to people every day and then have to go to an office. That might be nice.
Are you one of those people that, some people are workaholics and they spend all their time thinking, especially in our industry, I think, thinking about work and, when you're not at work, watching movies to see what's out there. It's always, almost everything revolves around work. Or do you compartmentalize and it's work and then take time off?
No, I do. And I think it's really important. I think it's really important to have another life outside of this industry that has nothing to do with this industry, and have passions and other hobbies. Because if you don't, if the business isn't going your way at that moment, you can sort of say, well, I don't do the things I care about or I'm interested in doing. I'm sure there's moments where I care or I am a workaholic. I do like to work. I like to stay busy. I think it's human nature. I think you're happier. I think people are happier just in general when you're busy. you get a lot of time to sit and think about problems or things, or you're going to create your own adversity. And I don't think that's healthy.
So what's Scott's life when you're not working? What do you do to kind of hobbies or?
I'm a pretty active outdoor person. I don't do a lot of indoor activities. Most of the activities I do are like in the sun, outside, whether it's surfing, diving, fishing, pickleball, golf, whatever, you name it. I like to be out beyond nature, at least, doing stuff.
Do you have any really fond, special memories so far on something that you worked on, or something that just feels really special that?
As far as the film industry, as far as what I've been able to, the opportunities I've had, I think the most important thing is I've got the opportunity to work with my father while he's alive and share those experiences with him. I've gotten a lot of great opportunities, and I've traveled the world doing it 100 times over. I've been on. It was funny. Matt Damon 20 years ago told me when I was doing this movie with him. It was in 2005, I think, and he said, "Be careful what you wish for," because he had done a movie and he was telling me the story, and he said, I'd done Courage Under Fire, and then I lived out of a suitcase for 10 years. And I thought at the time, well, that's kind of cool, whatever, travel the world, but then, you living out of a suitcase out of a hotel room for 10 years, and I go, oh, well, that happened to me. So it's, with all the amazing experiences, it comes with a cost too. I think people don't talk about that. Because you do miss a lot. You miss your friends' birthdays, you miss their weddings, you miss their kids growing up in front of you, come back and your friends' kids are 5 years old and you don't even really know them. So there's a lot that comes with it, but it's also an incredible experience. It has been an incredible experience.
Being in the entertainment industry, obviously there's probably been some perks of having the father that you have and the last name that you have. What are some of the things that, have made it tougher?
Questions like these? No, I don't know. I don't look at it like that. I'm just happy to be doing what I love to do, and I don't really think about that. I feel pretty lucky.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Or where would you like to be in 10 years?
I think behind the camera, it'd be nice to wear my own clothes to work, and maybe tell actors where they should stand, and instead of me having to do it.
Would you stop acting altogether, you think?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but I wouldn't do 4 movies a year. That might be too much.
So maybe like one?
Yeah, one sounds good. One good one a year. Yeah, maybe 1.5. We'll see.
Is there someone that you would love to, as a director, would there be someone that you would just love to, maybe it's someone that you've acted with, you'd like, I'd love to, when I'm directing, put them in a film, because just there's something.
There's so many great actors I've worked with and got to marvel at and watch, be in scenes with. And
That was the wrong answer, no, I'm sure.
there's so many. I just worked with this lovely young actress who I think is going to have a really big moment. Her name's Wes Duchovny. We casted her in this movie that I produced right before this movie in Europe. She's really special. She's a little spitfire. So I think I'd like to cast her in something. But there's so many, yeah.
As we all get older, there's life advice that we stick to and things we would have told ourselves if we were younger and things that we say, hey, it can be related to work, it cannot be, but what's some of those things that you have, like, I wish someone had told me you want to tell people, and what have you known that you're like, this has helped me a lot?
Wow, how do you sum that up into, so many things. I guess most importantly, try to do what you love. Money is, I think that we were talking about last night with my buddies, we were out walking around, and, in Monaco, obviously Monaco's, an absurd amount of wealth is here. But it's also like, it's one of the easiest trappings to fall into, to think that you need to have these things to make you happy. They don't make you happy. You make yourself happy. And typically, you do that by doing something you love to do. So if you do anything long enough, you'll get good at it, and you can probably make some money at it. I think I would tell my younger self that, maybe, but because sometimes I look at what happens in pop culture, and it really upsets me, and it kind of scares me about, what are you teaching, or what are we teaching our youth, that we're supposed to value these things, these material things. I don't know, that, I think about that a lot more now.
So I know you've done one New York ComicCon very quickly, but this is kind of your first one outside of that.
It's called my first European ComicCon.
Yeah, we'll call it your first
Sure.
European ComicCon. But this is Monaco's first ComicCon ever. So
Yeah.
for attendees, like, I've been asking everyone this question all day, but like, what would be advice that you would give someone if they've never been to one, or just, information that you think someone that's maybe never been to one should take to heart?
Well, I guess you get a really, meet people that are in these, film, television, artists, and you get to get to know them over the course of a weekend, whether it be on a panel or in person. You get a lot of access to people, and you get more of a long form conversation with someone, because you get to be around them, and which is, if that's your thing, then I think that it's pretty cool.
Why do you think that people, get so into movies and television, and, that it becomes such an important part of their life? Like, what is it that you think? What's the connection?
I think we're all just telling stories, right? That's what we've been doing since the beginning of time, whether it's verbally or, in art or in painting or whatever. It's capturing stories, and that art, has always sort of defined culture, right? Changes culture, whether we're going through an art renaissance of this time or that time, or we're going through a Western era in film. It will shape culture, and so it's, those are the stories that you're being subjected to, or people are always going to be infatuated with that.
Everyone defines success differently. Some people it's in this industry, especially, like, some people it's how famous you are. Some people it's, well, how well known are you, or are you known for more than, several characters, or is your character known around the world? What's success to you? Like, if you get to the end of your life, what will you feel like? Okay, I was successful because these things.
just having a plain old pickup truck and a surfboard in the back and being able to go on the beach and have a cup of coffee. I don't need much more than that. You know, and I think that getting to travel the world and getting to have these life experiences, it's all great, but it's, you know, it's not about, it's about, you know, feeling good because we told a great story and we did something and we affected people.
So are you content making a film that you love even if it doesn't have huge commercial success?
Yeah, oh hell yeah, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, there's a saying, you know, when you go and make a film, you do go, and it's not really your film anymore. You make it for the audience. So, I think, you know, if you do your job right, then you will, it will find an audience, whether it's a big audience or it's a small niche audience. It will find its audience, and someone will be moved. I mean, there's movies that I've made that no one would ever see or should see, and you know, you get somebody across the world and they tell you how much that film meant to them or how much they loved it, and I laugh because, you know, I don't think the film's necessarily that good, but ultimately it's, you know, that's their experience and they, you know, that moved them or made them happy or whatever, so that's a nice feeling.
Well, I think that's the end of our panel, but I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming to the very first Monaco ComicCon Prelude. Before we go, like I said, we're going to take a quick picture with the background, but everyone, please give a resounding thank you to Scott Eastwood.